I saw you draw my life.
Oh,
video,
yeah.
and that one's old.
Yeah, I was like, I'm trying to think of, okay.
And in it, there was a lot of really fascinating details where I was like, holy shit, I did not know about this. Man, that is fascinating.
Yeah, man.
So it's a fascinating look into the other side of the argument, and I highly recommend this book, especially if you're a fan of the series. So the other one, I mean, the classic story, which just fascinates me.
Oh, the catfish.
The catfish. You met a girl. So you're fascinated by something. Is this camera on? Because the light's on. Oh, the camera doesn't show it. But we're all good, right? Rolling? Okay. Cut all that.
Stealth mode.
So you're fascinated by something that I find absolutely fascinating. I find that fascinating because these are not some, like, fringe guys. Anything else to talk about? I mean, that was fascinating.
I didn't mean to bring it all heavy on here, but
Yeah,
that was really fascinating.
This is going to be like the cry stream.
it's fascinating how many words they can come up with for dick.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and it's also fascinating how many pages they can write. Sometimes there's entire novels. And
have you had kidney stones?
Yeah, it was the worst fucking pain of my life.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
this is fascinating. Like to me, that's fascinating because it's just so horrifying. Oh man,
talk about
Hila, you have a really good painful story that horrifies me that I think is fascinating about your wisdom teeth. Muslims are ruining society or something. Whatever he's up to, I don't know. Some really interesting shit.
Some child abduction.
Some fascinating original Joey Sells programming.
Reading about it.
I definitely try my best never to touch politics, but I'm fascinated by your involvement.
I was told.
What the hell did you do there?
I was told this is like one of the most advanced Islamic countries socially, and most acceptable Muslim countries. There was some nice places.
Why can't you say the country? I'm fascinated by that. What's the secret world of women in the bathroom?
Oh, that's a really general question.
What do you got, dude? There's got to be something fascinating. They're lip syncing, and they can't even get the sync right, which is just absolutely fascinating. I find that fascinating. It's really fascinating. But I thought this was pretty fascinating. It's interesting. It's kind of a fascinating thing. It's like, goddamn, boy. No, for sure. It's fascinating at the same time. Like, just saying it's a really fascinating thing. This is an oldie, but I saw it on Reddit today, and I was absolutely fascinated by it.
That's crazy.
It's kind of fascinating.
It's like Moshe in Hebrew, but...
What means Moses?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a great video.
That's everything.
It's not a great video, but...
It's fascinating.
But
it's a fascinating video.
Yeah.
So, I'm fascinated. Let's give it a watch. I find it fascinating how a whole country can just hate on one video. This is it. Holy fuck.
Wow.
It's fascinating. I don't know why people are hating. It's just some random kid shit. But I don't understand the views. This is fascinating. This is weird.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
It's okay.
Happy Father's Day, by the way.
Everyone thought it would be better if I just grew up with one father rather than
That's
being
what they did in those
conflicted and
days.
having two fathers.
That's fascinating. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little
Why your
square.
eye though? That's fascinating me. Like
Well,
that seems
That's weird.
Didn't hurt.
What a fucking badass Joe Rogan
actually, yeah. He's a fascinating guy.
I just love it, man.
No, he's fat. Like I follow him on Instagram, and his post he always has like this really long explanation of something really fascinating.
One night, I was fascinated about some topic or other. Right.
So
crazy.
that I don't know, that concept to me is really fascinating.
Yeah.
Steve-O, you're a fascinating guy.
Well,
man.
thanks,
God
bro.
bless.
I've seen Circus Vargas every year.
So for those of you who don't know, and I find this just one of the many fascinating things that I've learned about you, is that you went to clown college.
I went to Ringling Brothers and Barnum
Which
and
is
Bailey
just
Clown
bananas.
College.
Like,
right.
I remember seeing that clip of you talking about it, and I found it fascinating. So the thing that's fascinating about Woody Allen, if you guys don't know the story, he was married to a woman.
It's fucking fascinating. It's so good.
Me and Eel are very skeptical people.
Right.
But somehow this is a fascinating thing, and everyone's into it, and everyone loves it. We always ask our guests about ghost stories. I haven't heard the junk DNA. That is fascinating.
Yeah, junk DNA. 90% of our DNA, they have no fucking idea what it's for.
The founding fathers were deistic, and that was something that's
Deistic, my
fascinating.
favorite death metal band is
So
Deicide.
he came, he saw, he conquered, and he fucked off.
Okay.
It's kind of fascinating.
I have a whole chapter in my book called Angels and Demons.
It was fascinating.
Well,
Absolutely
thanks, man.
fascinating. Thank you, man, for
thank you,
coming.
bro.
I honestly
I'm a
was
huge fan of
fascinated.
both you guys.
Let's
Just interesting though.
No, it's fascinating. I've always been really fascinated by it.
And I'll tell you, and that's one of the most fascinating things about growing up abused.
But somehow everyone we've had on the show has like really fascinating supernatural / ghost stories.
It gets real fucked up.
Go to Twitch.
Really?
Check out his Twitch. I'm gonna be watching shit. You're
Yeah.
selling it.
Yeah,
I'm fascinated.
I don't know. It's like just get ready to pucker your butthole.
Well, whatever. He's a fascinating guy. But I think you guys are super. I don't know. You guys are hustles. You're super fascinating people, and I'd love to get the opportunity to talk with you guys and meet you sometime. We've got the video of the town hall meeting, which is fascinating. So anyway, I thought that was absolutely fascinating. The whole Bill Cosby thing, I'm fascinated by it. That guy is fascinating. It's fascinating. All right, Ela, I'm sorry. And this has got to be one of the most brutal, cringe things I've seen in a long, long time. But it's so fascinating and great to watch. But I think the reason why this is so fascinating to me is because I see myself there. It's fascinating. This one's fascinating. I've been following the Trump-Russian story because I found it really fascinating. This Trump-Russia thing is fascinating to me because if it all is proven true, to me, it's just so crazy. If you support Trump, just hear me out. Just listen. I'm going to lay it out. It's fascinating. And he just tweeted it out, which is fascinating. Let me read some of this stuff.
It's actually just August.
It's got to be Augustus.
Yeah.
I'm going to rewrite this one. August is not fascinating for me. And it's fascinating. It's riveting. And Dan, can you play the soundbite? And for those reasons, I'm out. Oh, for fuck's sake. Anyway, Shark Tank's been fascinating me. I just am fascinated by this.
They all kind of walk funny if you focus on.
Oh, they're so great.
Seeing my doctor on Monday.
But I am fascinated by this eternal struggle to stay relevant on YouTube because I feel that all the time.
Yeah.
Tell me what is it that fascinates you about the Emoji Movie?
And it's just the fact that it exists at all fascinates me.
The thing that fascinates me is like this movie is just representative of all the formulaic garbage that they're churning out.
Pretty much
This
what
is
they're
what
doing.
we're seeing, and that's why I'm so fascinated by Jake and Logan Paul and Team 10 is because YouTube has never seen anything like this before. But the whole thing is it's fascinating. All right, that's pretty fascinating. What else we got, Dan?
It's fascinating because it's so bizarre, especially when he gets to Florida.
The story of OJ is fascinating. He was on top of the world. He was one of the most famous NFL players. He was a movie star, and he just fucking murdered his wife. So if you guys don't know the story of OJ Simpson, it's fascinating. I don't really believe in ghosts, but the whole idea of the supernatural thing, supernatural thing, something that fascinates me because it seems like everybody has interesting ghost stories. But dissecting the way they attacked you is really fascinating. I'm fascinated by the fact that you actually agreed with her on that spending point. But first, I wanted to ask you, Rudy, a couple more questions. Something that fascinates me.
Not really.
Have you heard of Flat Earth, Rudy? So Flat Earth fascinates me because
Fascinating.
it's one of the more insane conspiracy theories out there. All right, that's pretty fascinating.
Yeah. That fucking picture
It's a giggle.
Yeah. All right,
Wonder Woman's got a mustache too.
You know, like
Sponsorship, we
some
gotta put another one
people
in.
used to want to sponsorship me proposing to my girl.
That is
Crazy amounts of money. And I was like, there's no way. That's not genuine.
Are you comfortable saying how much they offer? Because I think I find that fascinating. Anyway, I thought it was fascinating. This story is fucking fascinating, so don't go away. There's these companies like, what are these big ones called? Junkin Media.
Junkin Media.
They'll go find a viral video and be like, I'll give you $25 for the lights
I
forever.
think they own like 90%
They
of
own every viral video on the internet. It's I'm not going to say fascinating. People clown on me that I always say that's fascinating in every episode.
As if it's a problem to be fascinated.
I'm fascinated by shit.
Are we not here to fascinate and be fascinated?
It's like the fucking B version of Gladiator.
So people are
you not fascinated?
Are you not fascinated?
So tell me more. This is fascinating.
Yeah, so I asked Ethan beforehand because he grew up in the area, but he wasn't super familiar with it. This is a distinctly Los Angeles thing, but I find it really fascinating because the whole story is just insane.
So on the subreddit, there was this post. Didn't get too much attention, but it was fascinating.
Fascinating, Dan.
You're snoozing. Fascinating. It doesn't really work when I have to beg you to do it. Everybody's been making fun of me because they say H3 podcast in a nutshell. Fascinating.
So we put it on the soundboard.
And you know what? I mean, and then like I was looking through our last episode and I just clicked in one random spot out of 3 hours and it's me going, that's fascinating. I'm like, fuck, I guess maybe I do. I found it really fascinating. So I was like, let's put it on the soundboard. Try to do like,
what do you think about the soundboard?
I like it. If fucking somebody will get on their shit. Fascinating. Fascinating. It's good.
It's fascinating.
It's fascinating. If I'm being frank. Anyway, so got it. I said it and I wasn't even. I do say that too much. All right, now it's a meme. There was a post on our subreddit. It was like Boogie says I was, or whatever. Somebody says I was molested as a kid. And Ethan, fascinating. Whatever. Fuck you guys, memeing on me. But what he did is Googled his name because he was fascinated. Fascinating by the guy. It's really great to watch. I mean, it's really fascinating. Ugh, I'm so aware of myself saying it now. Fascinating. That took way too long.
The delay. We gotta work on that delay.
You gotta be Doc Holliday on that fascinating button. It's gonna be a blockbuster, my friends. I'm excited, and I think it's gonna be fascinating.
I think we need
fascinating.
Oh, there you go.
Windows, leave me alone. We found one or more settings on your battery that will help improve your life. I plugged in. I don't care about the battery. I don't care about updates. I don't care about... Why do I need to update Windows every day, by the way?
Every day,
give me a fucking break. Fuck. Like, I don't know, man. He's an interesting guy, dude. I love the way he talks. Yeah, it's fascinating. It is fascinating. So I thought that explanation was actually really interesting. Or fascinating, should I say. Fascinating. Because it's like this bot can just play Dota lifetimes. The guy is deep into everything I care about. He's at the heart of it. And let me tell you this about Elon. He's fascinating. 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 Thank you, Dan. To be truthful with you, my dream, although it's far off from now, is to do it every weekday. But that's far away. That is a fascinating. But for now, it's a 2-day. I like that balance for now.
We should call this the fascinating show.
This is the fascination hour. I found it really fascinating. It's the fascination hour, guys. So we basically left off. I wanted to ask you about Team 10. I'm fascinated by the whole thing. He's a fascinating guy. Hit me with it, Dan. You're fired, Dan.